Flying Dragon. First in. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Hello. I am doing great. Thanks for asking. Good to have you here. Whether you're studying for your CCNA, refreshing some of the tech, just here to have a good time, you're not going to be disappointed. I've got about 8 or 9 questions. They're all about 1 minute for answering time, and it's a lot of fun. If this is your first time to the game, you just go to www.kahoot.it or use the app on an Android or iOS device. Use that pin, and that's the correct way to answer the questions. Good to have everybody here. Just do a quick camera check there. Yeah, looks like it's working. Welcome. It's great to have you. And Arvhudden, it's great to have you here live with me. We have about, somewhere between 100 and 200 people every Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's the time zone I'm currently in. And it's good to have you. So welcome. All right, Eduardo, thank you. Appreciate that from Brazil. Brazil is in the house. Good to have you here. Good to have everybody here too. Hi, Nick. Welcome. We're going to be starting here in about 11 minutes. Glad you're here, Nick. Thanks, Blendinator. Appreciate Blendinator's wishing everybody good luck, as do I. It's good to have everybody here. Red's in the house. Christopher's here. All right, DeWald's here from South Africa. Welcome. There's my Amazon Echo going off. Alexa, stop. I set an alarm so if I got wrapped up in something, I would remember to stop and do the game. So, Blendinator, are you just waving or do you have a question? Either way, it's great to have you here. Thanks, Rashab. Saying I love your Palo Alto course. I'm just finishing up a course. These are at the CCNP level, but I'm finishing up a course at CBT Nuggets right now on the new version of Firepower, which is 6.7 and 7.x. And then right after, I haven't announced this anywhere yet, but right after, starting maybe later this week, I'm going to start with an updated version of Palo Alto. Because now they're in 10x. And I think the one I made it on was version something older. But the concepts, I'm sure, are very, very similar. Glad you liked it. All right, Luxembourg is in the house. Tony, welcome. Oh, thanks, Blendinator, for the wave. Luxembourg, the amazing... they say people from Luxembourg almost know everybody else in Luxembourg. I think that's kind of a joke. I saw a magician here in Vegas. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I saw a magician who said, I'm from Luxembourg. Who else is from Luxembourg? And then 3 people waved. He goes, yeah, that's my family. And it was. His family was actually visiting. Fantastic. Minnesota is in the house. Welcome. Mr. Webster's back. All right. Mr. Webster's saving trees, going digital. I like a good book, a good physical book too, but I do most of my stuff digital these days as well. Siri is here with the screen name of Screenshot. Glad you're here. As far as the Firepower course at CBT Nuggets, my part of it is going to be done here in about a day or two. I'll probably finish it maybe Monday, tomorrow, my local time. And then I'm partnering with it with another trainer, Bob Solomons, who's amazing. And his content should be done in a few weeks as well. So what month is it? June? I would say by July. It'd be safe to say that probably by July that'll be available in our library at CBT Nuggets. All right, Ricky, Hong Kong is in the house. It's 1:51 a.m. Oh, Ricky, amazing. Thanks for being up. I don't know if you got up early or just stayed up late. Either way, it's great to have you here. I do enjoy our time together. I do. It's fun. Super fun for me. If you're new to these online quizzes, we do them every Sunday, Pacific time at 11 a.m. I wrote these questions this morning. I had a really interesting week, and so this morning I got up early, put the questions together, ran through it a couple times. I think they're really good targeted at the CCNA level. If you want to join the game, which is the best way to answer, by the way, you can use the Kahoot app on your smart device, or you can go to kahoot.it, put in the PIN code, and if you're asking, Keith, where is the PIN code? It's at the top of the screen. Also, normally during the game, it's written down below. If you want to do a favor for another friend, a comrade, you can just jot down that PIN number. And then if somebody later in the chats, if it's hidden for some reason, you could chat it back saying, hey, here's the PIN number, 323-7901. Akram, thank you. Been watching my content since 2008. That was like version 1 of Keith, maybe 1.5. I think I'm on version 3. But at the end of the day, it's really just, we're just who we are. And sometimes we get a little bit better at things because we put time in it. And thanks for all the years together. And Kranthi is asking, how do I manage time effectively? Oh, wow. I could get... Hey, Balahi, welcome. Let me go ahead and give you a camera there. So how do I manage time effectively? The trick for time management... Let me turn on the volume just for a second while I do this real quick. Okay. For time management, the secret is that you have to avoid certain things if you want to manage your own time. Like, for example, you know how powerful the algorithm is today on things like YouTube and Facebook and so forth? Super powerful. Multi-millions of dollars in writing those AI algorithms to just hook you. Like, what did he watch last? What did he like? And boom, boom, boom. So if I'm not careful, I can spend an hour or two in the morning in my bed, boom, just going down the rabbit holes. Like, oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's cool. And that is. They know. The AI is just like, oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you to spend time with me. And it's fun. However, as far as time management goes, you got to put your priorities first. You have to say things like, well, tomorrow I'm going to study and have a good time studying. That's also important. I'm going to have a good time studying Palo Alto or Checkpoint or Cisco Firepower or, how layer 2 ARP inspection works or layer 2 trunking or whatever it is. And then you just do that first. So somebody once said it's like eating a frog. Now, unless it's cooked well, I've had frog legs. They taste like chicken. But anyway, it's like eating a frog. That if it's not super desirable to do it first thing. Get it over with. So for me, when I get up in the morning, I'm 57 now. And so I need to exercise to keep my body to make it still respond. So I get up and I exercise somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes a day. I don't want to. I don't. I don't think I ever remember saying, oh, good, I get to exercise. That's not the emotion I have. I start. I do it early because if I wait till later in the day, it's not going to happen. So take your priorities and then schedule them and do them first. And then afterwards, you might think, well, I've got 10 things to do today. What are the most important? Do those first, like providing for your family, taking care of hygiene, cooking, whatever it is you have to do. Do those things first. And get the highest priority things done because we all have the same amount of time. And once a person gets to a little bit, once a person advances in their career, let's say that, for example, they start off here and they keep growing. You have additional options as you continue to grow and get better and be compensated for that. But the time thing is still real. So as far as managing your time, I would love to hear from the group what it is you do to manage your time effectively. For me, I just start with the hardest things first and do those first. And then later, if I'm just like wiped out or tired or don't want to do anything, I don't. So get the most important things done first. All right, let me give you back some music. And thanks for the question. I also would love to see what your feedback is, everybody, regarding what you do to manage your time. We're going to start here in about 3 minutes. It's great to have you here. Gunnar007 said that they passed their CCNA. You are so welcome. I'm glad that I played a small little piece of that. Virtually everybody I know who passes their CCNA did it for one major reason, and that is a lot of work. And I appreciate everybody who's leaning in and saying, you know what, I got to do this. It's my time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to study. I'm going to learn it. And every day when I'm working on some technology, I'm leveraging stuff that I learned back in CCNA. I got my CCNA back in over 20 years ago. But and I got my CCIE back over 20 years ago as well. But I still leveraged a lot of those basic components all the time. So learn them, enjoy them, and keep on moving. That's not the same as it was for electronic school. I also went to electronic school back in 1985, 86, and I learned stuff that I've never used, like how to read the resistor color codes. I don't remember how to do it anymore. I was like, can I still do that? No. I learned about capacitive and inductive circuits and how to measure that. I learned about programming with the breadboarding a circuit, like a chip, and using registers. Never really used any of that. So there may be some things you learn that you don't ever use a lot, but for CCNA, if you're getting a job in IT and networking, you're going to need a lot of those skills for the rest of your life, including IPv6, because we're slowly migrating there. All right, welcome everybody. I'm just chatting it up here, so glad to have you here. And Ali is asking on the CCNA test, what percentage of the troubleshooting questions are we going to get on the exam? So Cisco has asked everybody to sign a non-disclosure to say what you can't really just say what you got or didn't get, but I can tell you this: in the blueprint from Cisco, excuse me, we're going to start here in about 1 minute. In the blueprint from Cisco, there's 6 domains, and I felt that the exam was extremely fair about testing almost every topic in every domain at the CCNA level. Very, very fair. So I just take that blueprint, focus on what's there. There is an exception. The exception is, well, I'll tell you, watch my videos, and I actually mentioned a couple topics that are not on the blueprint, which you definitely want to be aware of as well. So if you're watching my playlist and stuff, I've included that. I also included it, I just added it like 2 weeks ago to the CBT Nuggets CCNA playlist as well, because everybody needs to know. All right, NAME got their CCNA. Fantastic on Friday. Congratulations. Awesome. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Arshid is asking, greetings from India. Welcome. Glad you're here. Do we have any upcoming playlists on Palo Alto? You know, all that. These days, I'm doing most of my topics here on the YouTube channel for free. They're mostly CCNA related. So Palo Alto and next generation firewalls from Cisco. Probably not going to put that on YouTube. But for CCNA, tell your friends, this is the place. Yep, the network is such a unique world, never stops evolving. All right, Mr. Webster, thanks for that feedback. Oh, Christopher Rambo passed last week. If I can do it, anyone can. 54 years old, in the middle of difficult times, personally, stick with it. I want to say something to Christopher. Way to go, dude. Way to go. Yeah, that's amazing. I think of that, everybody who's in the sound of my voice, listen to Christopher. If he can do it during difficult times and being over 40, you can too. Blended in there, I hear you. Surprised about Cisco didn't make IPv6 more equal to IPv4. The thing is, IPv4 is widely in use, and IPv6 is getting there, but they told me that 10 years ago. And it's been out for more than 20 years, IPv6. So, all right, let's see if there's any other comments real quick. And Belai's asking, how is network speed calculated? That's a great question. like throughput or speed. So there's actually a speed of an interface, but there's also the reality is that the interface speed is rarely ever accomplished because there's overhead and you may have processing power and such that are limiting factors. So the actual speed of an interface and throughput are two different stories, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, Matt, one last comment is saying, I watched your subnet Saturday number 10. Sound like EIGRP shouldn't be a topic covered by the exam or just the basics. Thank you, Matt. So that is the one topic that I made a special video or two and a quiz just on EIGRP. Wink, wink, hint, hint. You definitely want to incorporate that as part of your studies. So I've added it at CBT Nuggets. It's in that playlist if you're a customer there. I've also made 2 or 3 videos on EIGRP here on my playlist. If you haven't subscribed yet, do yourself a favor, make it easy to find me. Just go ahead and click on subscribe. And then my playlist, I've got one for all these quizzes, or many of these quizzes, like 40 plus quizzes, which you can just run through. And then also about 140 videos in the CCNA playlist. So this isn't intended to be a full course, everything you ever need to know about CCNA, but I would say it's a super, super great resource. If you're studying and you want to dive into a topic or get clarification, check out my playlist. That's what it's there for. And then also I have office hour every Saturday on Discord, which you can join as well for free. Okay, all right. And Umair, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Just give me a chuckle at Blendinator's comment. You mean I can't get line speed doing AES 256 with IPS inspection as well on top of it? Oh, I love it. All right, let's do this thing. Let me go ahead and just say hi officially. My name's Keith Barker. I'm glad you're here. I am recording this so I have the option of editing it and uploading it later. If this is our first time visiting, welcome. The way in a live quiz every Sunday at 11 a.m., we have a live quiz. I invite you to join me and continue to join me throughout your IT career. It's a lot of fun. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. I am the OG of IT, and I've got a daughter who knows design, so she made me that logo. These are protocols starting with D, specifically 2 of them, DNS and DHCP. Here are the questions. Question number 1, just 60 seconds on the clock. Where is the Cisco DHCP relay config implemented on a Cisco device? The faster you answer, and the faster you answer correctly, I should say, the more points you get. And each of these questions is 60 seconds in length. I do have like one that's 90 seconds. I want to give you a little more time with that. And the Kahoot ID area is at the bottom right-hand corner. 323-7901. Join us. Love it. Thanks, Anthony. He likes the new office. I appreciate that. And Umair's asking, how old am I? I'm 57. 57? What? Yep. All right, where is the Cisco DHCP relay config implemented? Well, it's configured or implemented on a layer 3 interface. And the only layer 3 interface shown here is the layer 3 switch virtual interface. So it goes something like this. And this will be a short tutorial. This isn't a full, this is just a little explanation. Let's say we have our distribution layer multi-layer switches. We'll call this MLS1 and MLS2. And this guy's saying, why do I always have to be 2? Well, we'll fix that. I'll fix that. We'll go ahead and make MLS2 on the left. I don't care. All right. And if you think, Keith, are those switches really talking to you in your mind? Sometimes. Anyway, so I've got these 2 multi-layer switches, and they've got, let's say and they connect up to distribution layer switches. So this is, access layer switches. This is A1 and A2 for access. And then we have users off there. And then we have VLAN. So let's say we have this guy's on VLAN 10, that guy is 2, and then over here, let's say this is VLAN 20. So what we're going to do is we're going to have switched virtual interfaces on the multi-layer switches. We'll have an SVI for VLAN 10. We'll have, and over here too, SVI for VLAN 10. And over here, we'll have a SVI, a switched virtual interface for VLAN 20, and one for SVI VLAN 20. Okay, so, and then that would be their default gateways. So the clients up there, I couldn't put those up here. So let's take this client right here. When it does a broadcast, when it does the I'm going to give a little bit away here, but when a client is a DHCP client, there's the DORA process, like Dora the Explorer. The D is the discover. The client makes a discover. It's a broadcast at layer 2, and that broadcast is seen by every device in that layer 2 VLAN. And hopefully there's a DHCP server there. But if there isn't, hopefully there's a DHCP relay configured on the layer 3 interface. Think of it like a routed layer 3 interface. And if it is, then this multi-layer switch can take that packet, that request, that discover, and send it unicast over to the DHCP server wherever that is. This could be several routers away. And then the DHCP server receives it. It sees where the source, this relay agent is also going to include information that came from the IP subnet associated with VLAN 10. And then the server is going to say, do I have an IP address I can hand out? It makes an offer. So let me actually fix that too. Let me just correct that real quick. So let's say the client does the discover, and then the server does the offer, and then the client says, great, I'll take it. That's the client. And then the server does the acknowledgement, just like that. And that's all being relayed through the IP helper, which is configured on the switched virtual interface on a multi-layer switch. Or if this was a router, like a hockey puck, and this was gig 0/0, we would implement there. Or if it was a sub interface on a Cisco router that was a layer 3 interface, we'd configure it on that sub interface. All right, so that's why that is the correct answer. Good job for everyone who got that right. Here's the next question. Question 2 of 8. Ooh, double points. 60 seconds on the clock. Cisco routers use the command IP address what in interface configuration mode to become a DHCP client. All right. Wow. Nailed it. IP address, DHCP. It gives the interface the ability to be a DHCP client. It would do the discover. Hopefully there's a relay or a DHCP server that hears it and responds. Wow. Such a great response. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Let's go ahead. And here's question 3 of 8. We are moving through multiple select. I'm looking for all the answers that are correct. There's more than just one. Then hit submit. What can cause an address conflict when using Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol? Choose all that apply. Hint, hint, hint. Yeah, Vinny, way to go. Labbing up is one of the best way to reinforce the concepts. Yesterday in the office hour, I walked through using Packet Tracer, a greenfield technology, a greenfield scenario, which is taking nothing except an idea and then just putting it together and practicing like 8 or 9 different protocols just to get the network functioning. It was great. Yeah, labbing up is great. Yeah, these all are going to cause that. These all could cause a conflict. And one thing that happens when a DHCP server, say it's directly connected to this network, and there's a client here. So it's a client, that's the server. When this client does the discover and wants to get a DHCP address, before the server hands out most implementations of DHCP, before it hands out and does the offer, this server is going to ping the IP address that it's about to hand out. Now, you might think, why, Mr. Server, would you hand out, or why would you ping an IP address that you're about to hand out? The server wants to see whether or not somebody already has that IP address. Hopefully they don't, but if it does, the server can say, whoa, whoa, whoa. If it gets a response from the ping, it's going to say, I'm not going to offer that address. I'm going to take that from the pool, and I'm going to cross that one off the list and not use it because somebody else already has that IP address. Now, the problem in the real world, and I love Discord. I love our community in Discord, and I love this community here because I learn every single time I put a quiz together or have a discussion. I always learn something. And I think it was Blendinator who said, well, a firewall could cause a problem because if some other device here has the IP address ending in .50, and that's the address that we're about to hand out, and the server does a ping to .50, but this has a software firewall, which many computers do, like a Windows computer would, it won't respond to the ping. And as a result, the server says, well, didn't get a response. The ARP never even panned out, so I'll go ahead and hand out that IP address. And when it hands out the IP address to the client, then I've got 2 devices with .50. So a local firewall in that situation, no ping checked by the server, that would do it if there's a conflict, and manual configuration where somebody just grabs an IP address, they don't realize it's part of a DHCP pool, and they put it on their computer, or somebody puts it on their computer, and there's a firewall as well, or Murphy's Law, which says if anything can go wrong, it will. That's a little negative, but that's a lot of reasons why we have high availability and fault tolerance in the world today, and that's what this toast represents. I don't know if that's marmalade or chutney, I don't know what that is, or apricot jelly, doesn't matter, but Murphy's Law says if you drop this, it's going to land face down. And that's why that's funny to me. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's see who's in the top so far. Blue Pony, 7,000 points and change, followed by Speedy Horse, Happy Pigeon, brr, brr, Genius Giraffe, and Rocky Condor. Wow, top 5. There's a lot of time there. We're only like 3 questions in, so there's plenty of opportunity for growth. If you are here, congratulations. Appreciate you. What is the purpose of DNS? There's only one correct answer on the board. Grab it. And Dode, D with the character I can't pronounce and the D. Thank you for the kind words. I'm so glad. I'm happy that I'm making a difference for you. Thank you. So Blendinator is asking a great question about that last one. Is like, is it doing a ping request or is it doing an ARP? And the answer is, it's doing an ARP in preparation for a ping. So if the ARP fails, the ping's never going to happen, but it's actually trying to do a ping. And that's why if you look at it, it's going to ARP for that address. And that's all we may see with a protocol analyzer. Good question. And Fatty, join the game, jump in, use the pin code, and that way you don't have to worry about posting any kind of comments in the chats, and also you don't have to worry about me timing you out like I just did. All right, what is the purpose of DNS? Name to IP mapping 100. Wow, so good, so good. I'm just gonna click on next and say thank you, everybody. Blue Pony, still on top. Woo, here we go. Question 5 of 8. This is worth double points, no pressure. What is the interface command to configure a DHCP relay? Look at the answers pour in. You guys are crushing it. And if you're brand new to this, or if you're fairly new to us, that's cool too. The secret is just don't give up. Keep working at it. That's what I do. And I still have a lot to learn. I love the CCNA stuff. I love the meat and potatoes, the fundamentals. Makes me happy. All right, fantastic. IP helper dash address, followed by the server, the IP address of the DHCP server. Okay, well, you guys crushed that. That's great. The best way to learn these commands is to practice with them and study with them. And the CCNA isn't mostly about just memorizing all the commands. It's really about learning how it works and how to configure it and troubleshoot it. So the troubleshooting part, not so much, but if you practice hands-on, you'll also get practice troubleshooting, which is going to make you a better network engineer. All right, here we go. Blue Pony refuses to let go. Almost 10,000 points. We have 6, 7, 8. We have 3 questions left. All right, good luck to everybody. And here's question 6, also worth double points. Clients are not able to do name resolution. Why? I want just one correct answer. And Little Downstream's asking if I have CCNP content anywhere. We have a commercial site, CBT Nuggets, and I am a trainer there. And behind our subscription model there, we do have CCNP content. And I think my older videos from like 6-7 years ago, I have some CCNP content. But most of my CCNA, the free CCNA stuff is right here on my channel. And the paid CCNP stuff would be at CBT Nuggets. I know that's not affordable for everybody, so I appreciate that. And that's why I spend maybe, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20 hours a week on the YouTube efforts, which are all free. All right, 93 answers already in with 20 seconds left. Or by the time you hear this, maybe 5 seconds left. I'm so glad Kahoot, that's the engine that drives this. I'm so glad that they came up with the option for having the actual question and the answers themselves on your mobile device. That way you can see it even before the audio catches. All right. Gateway is not local. What do you mean, Keith? The gateway is not local. 54 of you crushed it. That's super good. Super good. Let's talk about this for a moment. This is really a subnetting type of question, and I will make one more plug for the free content. It's called, what is it called? Subnet Saturdays. It's a playlist here on my YouTube channel, free. It's like 11 or 12 videos, and I would recommend if you need to learn subnetting, which if you're working in the world of IT, because we use IPv4 primarily everywhere, having that knowledge is going to be super useful, and it's super easy, just one video at a time. Okay, so if we hand out IP addresses from this pool, with this mask, that is a 16-bit or 16 block size. So the subnetworks are going to be 0, 16, et cetera, et cetera. So the subnets are going to be, and then we go down a little bit, 64, then 80. So this range is like 65 through 78, and then I'll change my color right there. Now, this is an abbreviated version. So if you already know this, great. If you don't, like, what the heck is that? There's check out Subnet Saturdays. And if clients are in the 64 subnet, which is where they would be if they had got an IP address here, this address right here, that's not in the same subnet. They can't reach their default gateway. So they would be told to use the default gateway, but they would have no ability to reach it. It's not the same subnet. So it's interesting that some Cisco devices will even let me put this in the config. It's not checking to make sure that the default gateway is in the same subnet as the clients who are getting IP addresses. So because they can't get to their default gateway, they can't get to the DNS server, which is, that's an IP address for Google's DNS server. These clients are never getting off their local network because their default gateway is not reachable, which is a problem for them. Sorry. All right, 54 of you nailed it. Congratulations in Fairbails, who maybe identifies, oh, that's how that works. Fantastic as well. Okay, we've got two more. This is the penultimate question. Which are true regarding DHCP? I'm looking for exactly 2 answers. Good luck, everybody. Practical Networking is in the house with some excellent feedback. All right, good to have you here. Appreciate you being here. Also appreciate the support and the helping other people in the chats. Fantastic. All right, which are true regarding DHCP? Nice. Clients do a discover, servers have a pool. servers can exclude IP addresses from the pool. But if you think about the DORA process, that's fantastic. Also, a question asking about, do I use stock graphic art? In Kahoot, it's amazing. Sometimes if I'm doing a lab, I'll just grab my own image from a config that I'm working on. Or Kahoot, which is the engine that drives all this. I bought a license that supports 2,000 simultaneous users. Maybe we'll hit that next week. I don't know. Currently, we have less than 200, so we have some room to grow. But they have a huge library that's all licensed for them or free, and I just use that a lot of times. Okay. Yep, blend in. I hear you. It's so hot, I need to discover a pool today. But that's fantastic. All right. We have one more question. Blue Pony's on top, 13,499 points. I am so pleased for everybody for being here. And the reality is, I don't always know what the next question is, because there's an option that says, do you want to randomize these questions? So I created them all, but they come up in a randomized order. So this last one could be hard or it could be easy. Take a deep breath, commit to studying, commit to getting really good at networking. It will serve you. It will improve your quality of life. There's an old statement I had. It was like, QoS improves QOL, quality of life. That could be funny, or it just could be lame. And I'm a dad, so maybe it's lame. All right, here's the last question. Here we go. And then I'll stick around for a few minutes after, and we'll take some questions. What may cause a non-authoritative DNS result? If you're looking at that and saying, I don't understand what half of that means, that's okay. You've got a 25% chance. Oh no, you don't. There's 3 choices. Yeah, I guess you have a 25% chance of... no, my statistics are wrong. Anyway, if there's only one choice, you'd have a 25% chance. But with selecting 3, that changes those stats, I'm sure. All right, I'll be quiet. All right, Blendinator, I appreciate you. You're great. For all the moderators and admins on Discord and people who are supporting other people, including Practical Networking, if you haven't checked them out as well. I appreciate you. I mean, we're all life is short. If we can help other people, it's going to be great. Okay, so what is exactly a non-authoritative DNS result? On the internet, there are servers, the DNS servers, that are responsible for a domain. Those are authoritative servers. Everybody else isn't. So if we have a local server that's cached the information or a client cached it, those would all be examples of why it isn't authoritative. So in preparation for that, I just did a NS lookup for ogit.online. That's just a name I reserved. I'm using OpenDNS, which is from Cisco. It's part of Cisco's umbrella. It's free. You can change your DNS server if you're currently using one that's not secure. If you use this IP address as a DNS server, that's one of the 2 IP addresses from OpenDNS, and they're going to help knock down a whole bunch of DNS replies to malicious traffic or malicious sites with bad reputations just by default. All right, and you can also buy OpenDNS or Umbrella and get better service. So there you go. Let's go ahead and let's see how we did. Here's the podium. Congrats, everybody. Blue Pony, you did it. All right, love it. Let me get some feedback as well. This is the hardest question out of all of them about address conflicts with DHCP, and I was almost gonna put all in uppercase, but I thought, no, that's just giving away a little bit too much. So great job. I mean, overall, as a group, if we went and took the test as a group today, we would do incredibly well, because at least one of us or 2 of us would say, yeah, I know. Fantastic work. And let me also get some feedback from you. So if you could just take a moment in the interface and just give me some feedback. And then let's do this. Let me go ahead and see here. It's almost 27 minutes after the hour. Let's take 5 or 6 minutes. And if you have questions for me, hopefully anything you want is fine. actually, and I'm going to pick a few. If you just do an @Keith Barker, that'll help me see it. If I see it, I'm more likely to answer it. And I'm just going to pick from questions that are, I guess, going to be coming up now. Important aspect, how's the hair look? Yep, got a haircut. It was cut a little bit too short, but that's okay. And this camera's working. That's the real reason I wanted to check that out, my feedback monitor. I love it. I love spending time with people who are studying and learning and wanting to do better, and I'm so grateful for our time together today. Set your calendars every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, so adjust it for whatever time zone you might be in. Join me. And this is good for CCNPs and CCAs to refresh the skills and keep the juices flowing. It's going to be great. All right, let me go ahead and let me take some questions here. Again, making sure my hair. Also, I had a circuit breaker yesterday. It's hot. I'm in Las Vegas. Yesterday, like 108, 109. And I have a circuit breaker on the west wall where the sun in the afternoon hits it hard. And I had the sub panel that feeds this studio. Well, it's just off the garage. I call it my studio. It went out. So I was like, oh, please don't let that happen during the live stream. So we made it. Yay. And I'm having somebody look at it this week to get it corrected. Maybe put in a new circuit breaker. Electricity is dangerous. So I did go to school for electronics and I understand it, but if I'm working with like 220, which is the sub panel that goes over here, and high voltages or high potential, I'm very careful. Okay, let's see here. Let's get my questions lined up here. All right, a lot of positive fun feedback comments. Thank you for all the positive energy. And Fred Williams, 6th place. That's great. And Ricky, Blue Pony, way to go. That's awesome. And Ricky is saying thanks to you and Network Chalk, David, Jeremy, I'm assuming David Bumble, Jeremy Chara, or it could be Jeremy IT Lab, for offering free for doing the content. I'm taking my CCNA this Wednesday. Do you have any last minute tips about doing the previous quizzes? Yes. That would be my recommendation, Ricky. If you're taking your exam, I would go through this playlist for the quizzes on my channel. Just go to those topics where you're not sure of. Like if you know something, like you're ready, don't bother with that one. But if you have like topics like QoS or other ones that you're not quite sure of, or EIGRP, take a peek at those, go through those, and then just maybe brush up on those topics so you feel like you're hurting on. But Ricky, you nailed this one on DNS and DHCP. So if your knowledge on the other topics are as good as this one, I have high hopes for you. So good luck. Okay. Okay, let me see if there's anything else that I need to respond to here. A lot of positive feedback. Would routing and switching CCNA League would be the best to get into ISP networking? So ISPs, internet service providers, have big ones, are using additional technologies like ISIS and MPLS and layer 2 VPNs and layer 3 VPNs and other techniques and options. But starting with CCNA is a great way to get there. So you can get your CCNA, and then from a Cisco perspective, they have a data center certification at the professional level. So that's definitely an approach you can take, but CCNA is a great way to start. And when somebody says, you don't need to learn that, it's like, really? Like, oh, we don't use spanning tree anymore. Really? You don't mean that most corporate environments don't use spanning tree? They do. We don't use a lot inside of a data center because we do other techniques. But yeah, if somebody tries to talk you out of learning a technology in CCNA, just put that aside. If it's on the blueprint, take some time, learn it, and move forward. And not everything will be used all the time, but a lot of it will be. Okay. All right. Oh, and our JAIR might be pronounced hair. Yair. I apologize for that, but 3:28 a.m. Awesome. It's good to have you. If you got up early for this, great. If you're staying up late, great. Thank you for being here with us to make it part of how you celebrate with us. And Michael's asking about security for Teredo tunnels for IPv6. Everything has a security risk. So some things are more risky than others. I've got a test lab tomorrow for getting my first job in IT in the TAC team at Cisco. Whoa! And the videos have helped. TAC is amazing. Cisco, one of the reasons that Cisco gear and Cisco support and Cisco licenses and a service agreements cost so much is because they have great support. They do. They support their products. So, Mauricio, good luck tomorrow. Hope you nail it. Let's see here. All right. And let's see here. Which goes first, DNS or ARP, says Sid. It's a great question. And let's imagine we try to do DNS. So we have an IP address, either local or remote for DNS. And we don't know the layer 2 address because it's not cached. So let's imagine we have an ARP cache with nothing in it. The first thing to go to a DNS server is going to be ARP. Because if it's not local, we need to ARP for our default gateway. If it is local, we're going to ARP for the DNS server. So unless the local computer has a ARP entry for the next hop in the path, whether that's a default gateway or the DNS server itself, if it's local, ARP is going to be first, just because you're not going to broadcast for a DNS request. I mean, you can. There are ways of doing that, but from a typical client, they're not going to be broadcasting. Oh, sorry. Task Assistance Center. Fantastic. So that's great. Let's see. Let me get back on track here. All right. Some great advice. Michael, you're very, very welcome. The 10th of July, you got this. Keep on studying. And do I have merch? I have 2 Cisco Lives ago, when it was live, I made up 100 shirts, and I took them, and they all ran out, so I bought 100 more, and most of those are gone. So I don't sell any merch. But if you want to see what I have in my office, like all this gear, I have it on an Amazon page, which if somebody buys something, there's a little fraction of a commission or royalty on that. But I mostly have it just because people say, what do you use? My cameras, my monitors, the lights, everything. In the description of every video, there's an Amazon link, and you can just see in the YouTube gear all the stuff that I use to make this happen. So if you have questions about that, that's a great way to go. All right. Great question about the server that pings an IP before giving it to new host. Okay. You're welcome. Fantastic. And Tech Tips is asking how to troubleshoot. I would say that's the basics is where I start. It's like if something is not working, then there's a few approaches. There's the divide and conquer approach. There's a top-down approach, like saying what else works to that address. But I normally, I can't get to somewhere, if I can't get to one server and I can get to everywhere else, I think it's probably not me. It could be me. I could have like a bad DNS entry or something that's cached. But just a matter of troubleshooting based on the scenario. So I check if you can't get, the thing is based on the symptom, that's where I'd start troubleshooting. So if a PC can't connect anywhere, like yesterday when the power dipped, I lost most of this office. I have the rack and that stuff is on a UPS and this computer's on a UPS. The lights are not. And also I have a little router over here that is not. And so when it just came back on, I went out and reset it and I couldn't reach a few things. I thought, I can connect to everything else in this office, but I can't connect out to the live internet. Why is that? And that was because my local router here hadn't fully initialized yet. So the switch, I have a layer 2 switch as well, that is solid state. It just came right back on. And so that was helping me to identify where the problem was. Turned out if I just waited 5 minutes, it would have worked. Okay. Info Animate saying, Keith, SD-WAN or AWS Azure? Well, SD-WAN is a software-defined wide area networking, and AWS and Azure. Oh, I see. Which to study next? Based on your next thing you want to study, I would say if you have your CCNA under your belt, I would say what's really interesting to you, what is super exciting to you, and what if you go on like monster.com or Indeed and so forth, and you're looking at job opportunities, what are people looking for? And I would kind of marry those two together. So if you really love basket weaving or you really love certain technology, but there's no work in that, I would say maybe adjust that a little bit. I love security. I love next generation firewalls. And so I Palo Alto, Checkpoint, and Cisco's Firepower. I love them. And that's why I spent time there. And as far as like SD-WAN, I was asked to make a course on SD-WAN for CBT Nuggets. And so I spent about a week ramping up my skills on that, labbing it up, making it all work, and then created a course because after a week of studying it, I could teach it. And that's only because I had a familiarity with the concepts, and then labbing it up helped me solidify everything. So I labbed it all up. I actually probably labbed it up like 2 or 3 times, and then I taught it because I was comfortable with all the technique. Okay. And Michael's asking about Teredo again, so I would say Google that. Antonia is asking, I imagine that as a network engineer, I'd be configuring networks all day. Is it realistic to think about that? Okay, so here's the deal. With a great question, Antonia. Thank you. I have a friend who studied with me or our content at CBT Nuggets like 3 or 4 years ago, and he learned all about VPNs and router configuration and switching, got his CCNA, got his CCNP in routing and switching, and then went to work for Amazon Web Services. And he never uses any of that. He doesn't get to configure routers and switches because AWS has a lot of proprietary switch blocks and gear, and he does a lot of scripting, which he never studied, and a lot of work like that. So I would say this: prepare as if your life depended on it, study and plan, and then as opportunities come up, take them and learn and just keep on growing. Because when I got my first, forget about me. The job that you get initially may not be the one that you thought, I'm going to do this for a living. Like, I see people all the time in jobs like, did that guy plan on doing that for a living? Like, I know developers who like fell into it. Like, they had a need at a small company, so they started learning Java or Python or, Node.js or whatever it is they were working with, and they started learning it and started using it, and then they found out they loved it, and then they were able to get their skills up and actually go do coding. My son, Paul, he's amazing. He's like 27 now, I think. He's an amazing programmer. And I don't think growing up he wanted to be a programmer. So he's also an amazing musician as well. I mean, he just kills it. His website his YouTube is Poliano. If you just search for Poliano or Paul Barker, I think it should show up. But he's incredible. So I don't think he actually wanted to do that growing up either, but it was just something he found out he loved. He wanted to do it. He was good at it, and he just kept on studying. So people, I look at him, I think, how did you learn about SAML and OAuth and, all these other techniques and cascading style sheets? How did you learn all that? Because it's just one day at a time. And now he's really great at all that stuff. So I would prepare like your life depended on it. And then as opportunities show up and you have an interest in them, apply yourself, and you never know where it's going to take you. Like teaching for me, I didn't realize I really wanted to teach until I was at Paramount Pictures. I was a manager at Paramount Pictures in the 90s. And I went to a seminar, and one of these seminars was presented by a gentleman named Darby Checketts. I don't know if he's alive anymore or not. That was, back in the 90s. And this guy was able to move the entire audience, make a difference to me. And I think almost everybody in the room. And I think he was teaching something like project management or something. I was like, oh my God, he was just motivating. And I thought, you know what? That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And I'm also pretty good technically. I'm probably average technically. So I just got my certifications, learned, I worked in IT for a long, long time. But I also then migrated over and started teaching. I love it. I love teaching. Okay, moving on. Aviv is saying, I was able for the first time to get 7 correct answers in a row. Way to go. Glad you're here. And how much point-to-point protocol should we know for the CCNA? Moses, look at the blueprint is my answer to that. Look at the blueprint, and if it has information about CHAP and point-to-point protocol and PAP and HDLC, go for it. But I don't see much of that on the blueprint. So if you do know something about PPP, that's great. One of the challenges is that sometimes information stays on the web. Let's see, how long does it stay? Oh yeah, forever. It stays forever. And so like 5, 10, 15 years ago for the CCNA, there were technologies like frame relay and other antiquated X.25, other antiquated technologies. And sometimes those still, they're out there. So studying for a CCNA, so if it's not on the current blueprint, I wouldn't worry too much about it with a couple exceptions, which I pointed out in my videos. And I've also mentioned one of them in here, including a little bit of awareness of BGP and a little awareness of EIGRP, and then the blueprint. Okay. Sid's also asking, any thoughts, advice about CCNP score or other cyber certs like CISSP? CISSP is not a technical cert. It's more like an administrative cert, like understanding the bigger picture about risks and measuring risks and confidentiality, data integrity, and availability. So It just depends on where you want to go. If you're a manager or going to be a manager, or if you see on job posting sites that they're requesting CISSP certification, usually that one requires like 5 years of experience in security or some aspect of security. So pay attention to that too, and just start with where you're at and just keep on growing. And in 5 years, if you're working on security products, you'll have that experience to go with it. All right. Michael is not leaving the IPv4 to IPv6 tunnels alone. So I don't have to, in my daily life at CBT Nuggets and teaching, a lot of the content there for like Firepower and Palo Alto and so forth, I don't have to do a lot of that. So I would say whichever option in IPv4 to IPv6 translation or tunneling makes sense. I mean, auto 6 to 4 tunneling is amazing. Or 4 to, yeah, but I would say it depends on the need. So take a look at what is needed, take a look at the options, and then go ahead and deploy the correct option after you lab it up a few times. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let me see if which lab manual is best to refer to in practice. Here's what I would do. Yesterday in the office hour, somebody asked me a week ago, how do I build a lab from scratch, or what should I do? And basically, just get out Packet Tracer, which is free. It uses very little power because it's not a separate appliance. It's software. It's a simulator from Cisco, from netacad.com. It is free. It's wonderful. It does most things you need for CCNA correctly. It's all fantastic. And I just say I want to start with a router and a switch, a server and a PC, and I want to make the PC connect to the server. Start there and just lab it. And so if I'm studying, like in the blueprint, if it says study first hop redundancy protocols, which would include HSRP and gateway load balancing protocol, although it doesn't say that specifically, and VRRP, lab it up. So in one of your study sessions, say, okay, today I'm going to practice with HSRP. So you study it in a book, video, whatever it is, get out Packet Tracer, lab it up, and then test it and make sure it works. Ta-da! So as far as what labs you should do, you can build your own. And that's going to give you more practice and more real, that's going to give you a lot of real good experience in building a network, because you'll come across your own problems like, this doesn't work. Why not? Then head over to Discord. There's 9,000 people at the moment who have signed up for Discord. It's free also, and who are happy to help. Okay, let's see here. And is there a serious difference between configuring active-active or active-passive in Ethernet? So with Ether channel, let's make sure that's the question. Active-passive in Ethernet. So with Ether channel, we have 3 choices for Ether channel. One is to not use any protocol, just say on. The other options are LACP, Link Aggregation Control Protocol, which is an open standard, and the other is a proprietary option from Cisco, Port Aggregation Protocol. And so basically in both those latter 2 scenarios, they have the option for initiating the actual Ether channel. So if you have that on, I'm always using LACP. I can't think of a good reason to use the other one, which was pre-standard. And I also can't think of a really great reason. There would be a corner case where we wouldn't set both of them to active. And that would say both of them either one can initiate the actual Ether channel bundle. So I guess if you, I could probably think of a corner case for that, but at CCNA level, probably not too much of a reason. All right. I can tell you this though, when you're working with Ether channel, the secret I've discovered over the last 15 years of working with Ether channel, shut them down. Do the ranges, shut all those ports down. Now, if you're in a production environment, you don't want to schedule a change window, but shut all the ports down. Do the configuration completely, and then bring them all back up together. Otherwise, they just get off by one beat, and sometimes it's very, very tough. So that's my tip for Ether channel. All right. Keith, can I explain prefix information with regards to OSPF? Malik, let's jump into Discord right after, if you would, and let me better understand your question. So a prefix is just a fancy name for a network. So when you talk about prefix information, we have LSAs, LSA types 1 and types 2, and that's all you have if we have OSPF single area, with the exception of a default route. But yeah, come and join me in Discord for a few minutes. We'll do that right after here. I'd be happy to chat with you about that. Great. Let me see if there's anything else. How to check IPv6 reputation lists. Cisco has a really great security intelligence arm up in the cloud. It's called talosintelligence.com, TALOS intelligence.com. Do a Google search. Make sure you get the right URL for that. And they have fantastic reputation services. You can put in an IP address or a name. Under reputation, it'll give you the reputation and if it's good or bad and so forth. So that'd be a great way. Use their online. Hey, Solid Shadow, thanks for the super sticker. Very much appreciated. And appreciate you. Let's see if there's anything else. A lot of great comments. Okay, and Blendinator has some feedback regarding Ether channel. Thank you. And DNS zone transfers and vulnerabilities. Google that, please. For CCNA, they're not going to ask you about vulnerabilities for a zone transfer. But, if somebody can get in the middle of a zone transfer and steal the data, or if they can replicate or change the data, or if they can spoof and lie about the DNS information, that could cause a serious outage. And thank you, Blendinator, for the comment about Talos. Okay, that's it. Let me go over to my other camera here and just to verify it works. Yeah, it works. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me for just under an hour this morning in my time zone anyway. If it's early morning or late night where you're at, I'm also glad to have you here. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Discord, we have our office hour. And love to have you there as well. And then every Sunday at 11 a.m. right here on the YouTube channel, we have this quiz or a quiz. And it's usually mixed up, meaning recreated or reinvented. Like today, I think I took all these questions and I just made them from scratch this morning, which I should have done last night, but I had a late night. So if you have time or interest, I'm going to hang out just for a few minutes in the Discord server. The link is in the description of this video, of this live stream. And I believe Donald Robb, who is a fantastic individual and super smart. He works for a gold provider out of Canada, Cisco gold provider. He's super smart. And I think if he's going to be there, he's going to discuss or talk about DNS and DHCP, which was a recommendation from Dave. So Dave, one of our moderators on the Discord server. So thanks for all that. You made it happen. And that's it. All right. I'm going to send you off with some music. And if you're up for it, we'll see you in the Discord server in a few minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next live event. If you haven't already done so, and it's pretty easy. Just click on subscribe, and that'll make it easier to find me, Keith Barker, the OG of IT. And until next time, have a great day. Be nice to everybody, and make a difference. You can do it. Bye for now.
My apologies. I couldn't hear.
Oh my gosh. Can you hear that? That's my watch. My watch thinks I'm asking her a question. I'm not asking you a question. Back to the music.